Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Now, when we are saying again, what we can say, components for the higher education institutions, you need to look into different factors, right? You need to look into different components, which would be a balanced scorecard for you. So, as we said, balanced scorecard, we said four parameters, right? In a balanced scorecard way, if you go for developing a strategic model, we said learning, growth, internal processes, customer, and financial, right? So in each of them, which are the components that you would focus upon, right? So the components under each category would be for learning growth, right? Or for learning resources, you would try to see the infrastructure. You would try to provide the facilities. You would try to see the staff professionalism. You would try to see the policy system and a procedure. You would try to see the organization structure. So here, when we are saying learning resources, you are going to focus while developing a policy or while developing a strategy, you would focus upon the infrastructure, staff professionalization, policy system, procedures, and the organization structure. Secondly, we said internal process. Now, what in internal process? In the internal process, you would try to observe the academic atmosphere. How would you be able to create academic atmosphere for the people in your organization? How would you go ahead for a good governance, right? How would you go ahead and take an action in a way that you have able to meet the social responsibilities? How would you go ahead with the learning processes, and how would you establish a research work in your organization? So what you would try to look into is you would try to see that the research work is established in your organization. Thirdly, once you are done with that, then what you would do is you would try to look into the third aspect, that is your customers, right? You would say that what should I do to make my customers learning quality? Okay, you would try to see that the competencies are met in my customers. Customers here is the students. You would try to see the learning accessibility. You would try to look into the mutual benefit. Once your students are achieving something, then it is a benefit to you also. The name, reputation, and brand of your institute is going to improve. So the third aspect is a customer. In our case, it is students, and the family members are the customers. The fourth is a financial. So we would also look into the funding, whether the funding should come from the government or from the society or in different grants. Say, for example, you want to excel in research. What type of grant is available? How can you help and how can you bring to the notice of the employees of your organization so that they can understand well about the grants that is available, right? So the important part here is what we are trying to say is when you want to do this, your higher education strategy development model, you should think ahead about these four processes in detail, four components in detail, that is learning resources, internal process, and then customers and the financial. Now, the last part of the session is assessment of stakeholders' engagement in the strategic process. Very importantly, we said that it would be better if you involve the people, right? It would be better if you go ahead with involving as much as people in the organization. We all know that we need to include the stakeholders, okay? And when we are saying that stakeholders, that means we are talking about the internal stakeholder and external stakeholders of the organization. So when we are saying internal stakeholders, our students, staff members, administration people, and the strategic planning committee, they all are our internal stakeholders. And when we are saying external stakeholders, then say for example parents of the students, the government, private and the state governments and the central government level institution, they're all the external stakeholders. How can we include them in our strategic process? How can we engage them in the strategic planning process? That would be very, very important, because a well designed strategic, what we can say, planning and well designed strategic model, that would add upon the stakeholders engagement. And once you say for example you are involving parents, you are involving students union representative, you are involving government, you are involving industry, because we know that industry academia gap is there. You want to, I mean, if you involve industry member, if you involve corporates, if you involve the practitioners, if you involve the government, if you involve the students, if you involve the parents, and if you consider their opinion in strategizing about your department, your institution, or your university, I think the overall higher education strategic model would be the great one. And for that, it may happen that you can collect a primary data with the help of them, or you can have a strategically, decision about how to go ahead with them. For that you can take a leadership in that area, and then you can look into how to do ahead with that, right? So certainly many times, let us take an example of say Oxford University and the University of Oxford's strategic plan. So when we look into the strategic plan of the Oxford University, then simply the focus of them is number one, that is education. Now, through education, what they have done is they have given a commitment. Commitment number one, say for example, to attract and admit the students from all the backgrounds with outstanding academic potential and the ability to benefit from the Oxford education. So, certainly, the first commitment for education that they have given is in terms of the quality education. And for that quality education and experience of the student, they have decided that we would attract and admit the student of not only one background but all the background, and strengthening them rigorous way. That is the first commitment. Same way, for they have also focused upon the other commitments, like to refrain the students from doing whatever they want to, so to offer an excellent academic experience. The second commitment they have made for the education is to provide an excellent academic experience for all the students and make themselves fully equipped graduate to excel in whatever they choose to do. So, whatever field, whatever area they choose, Oxford has decided that they want them to offer an excellent academic experience. Once they are into their system, the students should feel excellent. Excellent in teaching, excellence in learning, excellence in experience. The third commitment that they have made is to retain and refresh the collegiate university's rich academic environment, right? So they have said that, to retain and refresh the university. In fact, I have visited the Oxford, and if you look into the liberty there, on the other hand, that liberty in the environment itself is creating student, focusing more in the learning and the research. Many times, when we are saying 100% attendance or 80% attendance is compulsory, that is fine. I mean, that is a process, that is a requirement. But then, in within the framework, how should I provide the things differently? How should I provide a platform differently so that my students can excel and I can reach my goal, my mission of providing excellent in the education. So, excellent in the education is the first vision and the mission. For that, they have done three commitments. Same way, the Oxford's second what we can say focus is on the research excellence is their focus. And for that, what they do is they have made again the commitment number one is to promote and enable ambitious research of exceptional quality, and for that exceptional highest standard of rigor and integrity, right? They are providing platform to the people, and they are providing a freedom for what? Freedom for investigating the problems of significance. Okay, look into the breadth and depth of the problem and then do the research. The second commitment they have made is to invest in a people, to support them, the research environment, and thereby research endeavor to grow sustainability. So, what Oxford is doing is they are providing a conducive environment for conducting the research with the facilities of the infrastructure, appropriate support to the staff and students. Many a times, organizations keep mission and vision of excellent in research, but then how to excel in research, that is forgotten. If you don't provide a support, maybe a financial support, equipment support, infrastructure support, support in terms of freedom of timings, for conducting the research, you observe the institutions like Indian Institute of Management and all, whereby there's no, boundaries. I mean, when you want to do a research, the faculties are allowed to conduct the research in a way they like, but then ultimately they have to do. Right. So here also in Oxford, the second commitment they have done, or the second strategy they have adopted is, to provide a better infrastructure, better facilities in terms of the research. And the third strategy that they have adopted is to change the world for the better tomorrow. They are trying to look into the culture, the society, the political and the economical changes, and accordingly they prioritize the items with reference to the research, with reference to the collaboration, with reference to the MOUs, and with reference to the other physical and infrastructure facilities, right? The third focus of the Oxford is on the people. They feel that people are the foundation. So when they have prepared a strategic plan for 5 years, this 5 years from say 2018 to 23, their focus is on the people. They believe that people are the foundation of the university's success, and the quality of the academic research and the professional and support staff, each and every person who is working in the university is very, very important. And that is why what they have done is number one, they have tried to establish the HR policies and processes in a way that the departments and the faculties it supports, okay, and it responds to the ever changing environment. So what they have done is number one, at the time of recruitment, attracting and the retaining of the people, they are providing high focus. They are trying to ensure that the rewards are there, and maybe a pension plan or a transparency in a system, competitive scenario. They are trying to provide indirect motivation to the employee. Secondly, what they are doing is they are trying to work toward increasingly diverse staffing profile. So profile of the staff, those who are working there, it is not just from one background. Okay, they are trying to have a staffing from a different background of the people, with a different universities, with a different culture, okay, values diversity, so that you have a mixed kind of people, and so there is a diversity of the culture in the organization. And definitely many times the diversity of the staffing also leads to the competition, also leads to the success in the organization. And the third thing that they have done is to support the staff in the personal and professional development. Yes, they are always encouraging the staff at all the levels for promoting the development programs of the staff, regardless of the status of the employee, whether it is at a lower level or middle level or upper level. In the early career research staff, they are trying to provide the support. Okay, so people are the priorities. So number one, they focus upon the education, excellence in the education. Second focus is excellent in the research, and the third focus is providing excellence to the people, so that in turn people would be engaged in those type of activities, and it would lead to the success of the organization. The fourth thing that they have focused upon in their strategic plan is engagement and a partnership. They have decided that to work with the partners to create a world class innovation ecosystem. Nowadays it is like, you cannot work in isolation, or you cannot think that I would not get associated with any university or any other institution for the program. It is very, very important to get connected, to have a better networking, and to have a stronger and a more constructive relationship with a local and a regional community. So they have tried to develop a better relationship with the local people. And thirdly, they've also engaged the public and the policy makers, that is, somewhere or the other way, people or the representative of the government, to shape the research and education and encourage the people at a widest possible use of the research findings and the expertise. Because many times what happens is, we do the research, we do certain research projects, but then what is the use, right? So when you are tying up with some organization, either it is a government or it is industry, and when you understand their problems, and then if you conduct a research, what would happen is the solution of the problem of the either industry or government or the other stakeholder can be solved. On the other hand, you can have a scholarship, you can have financial funding or a grant, and then on the other hand, your education, by publishing that research worldwide, you can have better opportunities, and simply, overall development, the reputation, the name of your universities can be more. Okay, so that is what the Oxford has done, and they have also tried to look into the international engagement of the universities by different type of programs. So that is the third focus. And the fourth focus that they have done while they make their strategy is on resources. So the first focus was education. Second, I said the what we can say education. Second, it was research. Third, we are saying people, so prioritizing the people. And fourth, we are saying the resources that are available. So they are trying to manage the financial resources by looking into the long term sustainability. Also, they have tried to see that the estate provides an environment which promotes the world class research. See, many times institutions expect a lot from the employees, but then the even the sitting environment is not proper, the work environment is not proper, due to which people are not feeling happy to do the work. And then you are talking about the world class research and making your organization to a world class level. So in isolation it would not be possible. So you have to make sure that you have to promote that type of work culture, you have to provide that type of space, that type of work environment. Okay, so that is the focus of the Oxford. So, by this example of Oxford University, I was trying to give you an idea about how can an institution, higher education institution, how can they provide or how can they frame the strategic plan keeping into the vision and the mission. So certainly at the end of this session, I can conclude that, or we can definitely conclude that, number one, when we are fixing universities strategic plan or strategic plan for the higher education institution, number one is you have to set out a framework of priorities for your university. What is priority for your university or your division or your department or your institution? Okay. And once you set the priorities, number two is you have to establish a vision and a mission. If you have clarity in the mission and vision, then there is no issue. But if there is no clarity, then a specific vision and a mission, either in terms of excellence in teaching or research or quality education or people enrichment, it can be anything, right? But importantly, you need to establish it, because once you are establishing the mission and vision, then it is giving you a clear cut idea about in which direction you want to move ahead, in which direction you want your institution to move ahead. And that is why developing the mission, developing the vision, and then looking into how to go ahead with the other things, that is very, very important. And that is what we have seen in this session. So I hope that you are clear with the strategic, and specifically for the higher education institution, if you are building strategic planning process model, then there are certain considerations and there are certain processes which we have seen. We have also seen the strategy development model, where we said that the strategic position, strategic choice, and strategy in action is needed. And we have to focus upon the components like learning resources, internal processes, customers, financial, and the others. And we have also seen that we need to look into the overall aspects and the stakeholders, the internal as well as external stakeholders. With the help of the strategic plan of the Oxford University, we have tried to analyze that how can one university, how any university can prepare a strategic plan. And so I would request all of you to prepare a strategic plan for your department or your division or your university or your institution, and even for yourself. I think after considering all the aspects that we have discussed, each one of us can prepare a strategic plan well. I hope you liked the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Neelam Panchal, for your kind support to this HRDC, for your precious time and this wonderful lecture. I would like to thank you on behalf of HRDC, Gujarat University, Dr. Neelam Panchal. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, all the participants. As we know that the situation of COVID-19, please friends, be careful, stay at home, stay safe, have a wonderful time with your family. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you one and all.